Evolve C, E, guiding people to achieve their dreams, helping projects and advanced schemes, creating links with development at all levels.
Okay, so something huge just happened in the world of defense contracting. For years, everybody's been asking if or when the CMMC cybersecurity standard would become a real, hard requirement. Well, as of right now, we have our answer. And the answer? It's about as definitive as it gets. Basta. Finito. The argument is over. The whole question of whether CMMC would ever actually show up in real contracts, that's officially settled.
And we're not talking about a small change here. This directly hits the roughly 300,000 defense contractors and subcontractors, pretty much the entire supply chain.
And for every single one of them, the clock is officially ticking. This is no longer some future problem you can kick down the road. It is here, right now, and it demands action. So what exactly happened? What was the big domino that just fell to end this whole debate so suddenly? Let's break down the key event that just changed everything. And this is what you really need to pay attention to, the speed. On August 25th, the White House's Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, OIRA for short, cleared the DoD's final rule. Now, they could have taken 90 days, or even longer. They did it in just 34. 34 days is a blistering pace. This wasn't just approved, it was rocketed through the system. And what that speed tells you is that this is a massive priority for the administration. The takeaway is simple. CMMC is no longer just a nice idea. It's not a policy goal. It's now about eligibility. It's about whether you can even get a contract in the first place. Okay, I know, that last part was a ton of government acronyms. OIRA, DFARS, SPRS. It's a real alphabet soup. But what do they actually mean for your business? Let's decode this and get to the so what. First up, OIRA, the one we just mentioned. Think of it as the final checkpoint at the White House. Any big new rule has to get past these guys, and the fact that they pushed CMMC through so fast, well, that shows you just how important this is at the very highest levels. Next up is DFARS. This is basically the DoD's rulebook for how it buys things. This is where policy stops being a nice idea and starts having real teeth. When something gets written into a DFARS clause, it's not a suggestion, it's a hard rule that contracting officers have to follow. And guess what? This is where CMMC now lives. And finally, SPRS. Just think of this as the official scorecard. It's the government's central database where every single contractor has to post their cybersecurity score. And you better believe, before they award a contract, an officer's going to check this system. If your score isn't there, you might be out of the running. Simple as that. So, to put it all together, what really changed? Well, last year's rule, the program rule, basically defined the game. It laid out the rules, the levels, the whole framework. But this new rule, the acquisition rule, this is what actually puts the game on the field. This is what gives contracting officers the power to use CMMC in real-world contract awards. And what does that look like in the real world when you're bidding on a contract? Well, it boils down to 3 huge changes. First, you're going to start seeing specific CMMC levels right there in the RFPs. Second, before anyone gets an award, the contracting officer is going to verify your status in that SPRS database. And third, and this is the big one, if you're not compliant, your offer can be thrown out. Full stop. Okay, so this is way bigger than just new rules for businesses. This is about national security. So let's zoom out for a second and look at why securing this huge supply chain has become such a critical, top-tier defense priority for the whole nation. And make no mistake about it, CMMC is not just another paperwork exercise. It's not about ticking boxes on a form. This is about closing a massive, dangerous vulnerability that our adversaries have been walking through for years. It is a fundamental national defense requirement. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Leaders across the board are saying the same thing. Matthew Travis, the guy who runs the whole CMMC accreditation ecosystem, put it bluntly. Building a trusted and resilient defense industrial base isn't just a mission. He says it is the most important cyber mission we have. Because let's be crystal clear about what the adversary is trying to do. These state-sponsored groups, like Voltyphoon, they're not just stealing secrets anymore. They are actively getting inside our critical infrastructure. They want to be in a position to disrupt our logistics, to mess with our military command and control, and ultimately to put a chokehold on our civilian leaders in the middle of a crisis. And the defense industrial base? It's right in the crosshairs. All right, so the debate is over. The stakes are sky high. The big question for you is, now what? If you're leading one of those 300,000 companies, what do you need to do right now? Let's walk through the action plan. And this has to be a board-level conversation, period. First, find a real partner, a Sherpa, who can guide you through this whole thing. Second, figure out what CMMC level you need. That's all based on the data you handle. Third, you've got to get your score posted in SPRS so you're visible and eligible. Fourth, build a real program for this, not just a series of last-minute fire drills. Fifth, you have to push these same requirements down to your own subcontractors. And finally, and this is maybe the most critical part, you have to tie compliance directly to revenue. Make it a go, no-go decision for every new bid you pursue. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. CMMC isn't a burden anymore. It's not just a cost of doing business. It is a visible, measurable, competitive advantage. The companies that are ready are going to win. The ones that aren't, well, they won't. So the final question is pretty simple. Is your business ready to compete?